I don't know about you, but when I'm looking to make transformation in my life, what I've come to find is that one of the things that holds me back is resisting to what is. When I want to make changes, what I oftentimes do is I find myself fighting what's really happening in that time. And what I've really come to realize is that the best way to move through some of these challenges is to accept what is. But what I've realized is acceptance and surrender is not for wimps. Hi, everyone. Chris Natzke here with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion tip of the week. Acceptance, surrender. Boy, sometimes those terms and those concepts are so hard for us to embrace, particularly when you're a martial art warrior, right? We're used to fighting. We're used to moving through obstacles. We're used to, taking on the demon in front of us. And that doesn't mean that in our lives that we don't want to make changes. What it simply means is if we are spending our time and energy fighting what is, we expend so much of that energy, we're not able to use that same energy to make the changes that are necessary of happening. You know, one of the things that I've really learned about this idea of surrender and acceptance is it really becomes the first step in our transformation. When we're able to accept what is and make changes from that point, now we're really be able to make some traction and put our energies in the right focus. Now, when I say this, it doesn't mean that we are giving into the situation. It doesn't mean resignation. It simply means acknowledging what is and then giving up our fight against it, giving up the things that aren't working for us so we can have the changes that we're looking for. I love what author Byron Katie says about this. She says, when I fight with reality, I always lose, but only 100% of the time. And how many times have you found yourself in that particular situation? I know I have, where you don't like what's happening and you're angry about it, you're frustrated about it, and you focus your energies on fighting against it versus what is the solution to get yourself out of it. So much easier said than done, particularly from this gentleman right here. I have to consciously put myself in that place because my initial reaction in challenges is to fight. And sometimes that's not the best thing for me to do. In fact, most of the time it isn't. So what I've done is I've come up with 5 little key ideas that we can focus on when we are up against it. And we can use acceptance and surrender to help catapult us to making the positive changes that we want to have in our life. And the first one is this: stop, drop, and breathe. Stop, drop, and breathe. You've probably heard stop, drop, and roll when you're on fire, but this is when your mind's on fire and you're really fighting against what is. And the first thing is to stop and take a look and look objectively at what is really happening without your story. Just like stop and observe where you're at. Drop. Drop means to drop out of your head and into your heart, and just start to feel for what you believe, what needs to happen next, what actions you need to take, and then breathe. Stop, drop into your heart, and then breathe. Slow your breathing down. Deep breaths through your nose, out through your mouth, so that you can release the anxiety that's happening. We oftentimes don't make our best decisions when we are in a place of panic and fear and frustration. But when we're able to step back, assess the situation, drop into our hearts, and we do that through breath, now we're able to make really good decisions and take good actions. So stop, drop, and breathe. Number 2 is to remind yourself is that in your life, almost every time, things have always worked out okay. Boy, I know this is a tough one for me because it's so easy for me to begin catastrophizing with what is going to be, in front of me and all the challenges I'm going to have. And man, when I look back at it in retrospect, I'm like, man, so many of those things I worried about never happened. I love what Mark Twain said about it. He said, I've gone through some very difficult things in my life, some of which actually happened. So are you actually experiencing all that upset on the front end because of the worry and the anticipation of what may go wrong when it really nets out, it isn't that bad anyway. So just tell yourself, take a deep breath and say things are going to work out. Number 3 is take action, even if it's just something small. What's the next right step? You see, when we get our bodies in motion, then we tend to get out of our heads and into our bodies. And when we are in motion, now things start to come to us. Ideas start to come to us. I love the phrase that my teachers, Dr. Ron and Mary Holnick, always say, which is God meets us at the point of action. God, universe, whatever you want it to be, when we start taking action, things start happening for us. So obviously, think about your plan before you don't necessarily have to go fire, ready, aim. Think about where you want to go, but then just don't stay mulling in your anxiety and you're fighting around it. Start taking some action and focus on those next steps. Number 4 is to ask for help when needed. Ask for help when needed. Oh, are you like me, thinking that the only person that can get it done right is me? And when you find out that oftentimes you have so many resources around you that are willing to help, that are there to help walk you through this challenging time in your life. But what it requires is for us to get out of our ego and to ask for help. You know, I think that one of the most powerful things we can do, one of the greatest signs of strength that we can show, is to ask for help. Because then we know that it's not just about us, but it takes courage to ask for help. It's a real sign of strength and courage. So ask for help when needed. And then, number 5 is let go of the outcome. Let go of things having to happen exactly like you feel they need to. Boy, that's a hard one for me because I have this vision in my mind that everything is going to be perfect if it's just the way that I want it to roll out. It doesn't mean we don't start with a vision, but then be open to it being different and actually even better than we anticipated. Letting go of the outcome, letting the energies at work be able to guide us through the process so that we can get what we want. So there you have it, my friends. There's 5 steps for us to move out of fighting with reality and moving into acceptance and surrender and then inspired action so we can make happen what we want in our lives. So if this was helpful to you, please comment, like it, and share. And if you have other ideas you'd like me to talk about, please submit those as well. And as always, this has been a real pleasure to have you join me. So this is Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching, and we'll see you next time on the Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week.